Hello and welcome to this lesson on the tune Captain Pugwash. We're going to play this tune on the DG Melodeon and it works really well on this instrument, so let's get started. Before this tune was used for the TV series Captain Pugwash, it was known as the trumpet hornpipe, that's its proper name. I remember it from when I was a kid. We had a very sort of crude black and white animated version over here in the UK, and I used to watch it every week and loved it. We're in the key of G major, no surprise there, and we are counting in fours. So it's all pretty straightforward. So the G row will have all the normal shaped heads on my music, and any notes on the D row, the outside row here, will have the diamond shaped heads. We've got a few dagger symbols dotted about on the music. If you don't know already, when I put those on my music, it means that those notes can be played by reversing the bellows direction. You don't have to repress the button. One thing you need to know is that some of the bars are written and they look like they are a continuous run of quavers. For instance, bar 2. But in fact, the feel I want you to adopt there is the dotted quaver, semi-quaver. And that gives you kind of a bouncy feel rather than that very smooth feel. It just looks a bit nicer than if you wrote it out with loads of dotted quavers and semi-quavers. But I'll deal with those bars when I come to them, but just bear that in mind. The whole thing is very sort of rumpty-tumpty, diddly-diddly, not a smooth flowing thing as it may appear from the music. Lots of people do that when they write out pieces of music just to make the whole thing look a bit more accessible. You've got a lot of notes on the push to start with, so I recommend pulling the bellows out a fair way before you get started, because you may run out of room quite quickly in your bellows if you don't. This is a Hohner Erica, it's sort of a reasonable size. If you've got a small instrument with small bellows, then you may find you need to put it out even further. Play the whole thing fairly staccato and then you should be fine with the air. The first bar is what we call a pickup bar, and we call it bar 0. It doesn't count as bar 1. Bar 0 is its name, and it's got a single note of D in it. The note D on my Melodeon is button 3 because I've got a 4th button start instrument. That means to say that on my 4th button on the G row, if I press the button and push in, I've got G. If I do the same thing on the D row, I've got D. If your instrument is a 3rd button start, which lots of instruments are, then the same will apply when you play the 3rd button. So if you play this button here and push in, you'll get a G. You press this button, push in, and you'll get a D. I'm sure you'll know what your instrument is. If you're not sure, well, if you play your 4th button whilst pushing the bellows in on this G row, and it sounds like that, then you've got a 4th button start. If you play your 4th button and it sounds like this, then you've got a 3rd button start. Okay, so our first note is the note D, like I say, comes in on the count of 4. So you count 1, 2, 3, 4, just a single note there, no bass played behind that, so there's no chord above that, nothing in the left hand, just simply playing that note and you're in. Now straight away you're going to need to move your right hand position. Dotted around the piece of music you can see down 1, up 1, down 1. What that actually means is that in general we keep our 4 fingers on 4 specific buttons, a particular area of the Melodeon. So if I say move down 1, you'll move your first finger from here to here, because when you get to bar number 1, the first complete bar, that starts on the note G, which is this note, and fingers 2, 3 and 4 will move downwards from there on consecutive buttons. So that's what we mean. So when we get to bar number 1, we've got the very distinctive timing, it's a very distinctive feel. Now what you have there are triplets. You've got 2 triplets in this bar. What a triplet is 3 notes played where 2 normally go. So what that means is that the first beat and the 3rd beat of this bar split into 3, which is pretty hard to understand, but the way to vocalise this is to say diddly-do, diddly-doo-dee, diddly-do, diddly-doo-dee. So diddly-do, G, 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 and then G, 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 B. So diddly-do, diddly-do, D. And that sounds a bit ridiculous, but it may help you get the timing. So that's a triplet, 3 notes played where 2 normally go. I've seen people using different fingers on the same button. They'll play like that, and you can do that if you want, of course, but I don't think it's necessary personally. I use my first finger like that to keep tapping it down. So you've got G, 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 D. Now the D note, the last note of the bar, is 2 buttons down from there, finger 3. So finger 1 on the G, finger 3 on the D. And in fact, when you play those last 2 quavers, although they're written as 2 quavers, like I said earlier, what we've actually got here is a dotted quaver, semi-quaver. So you play those last 2 quavers not as written, but as a dotted quaver, semi-quaver. That'll make more sense when we get into the next bar. Let's deal with the bass of that, by the way. We've got the par bass, and we play G bass, G chord, G bass, G chord. Okay, so that's twice in the bar. And you play the G bass as you play your first note on the right hand. And once you play the triplet, when you get to that first crotchet G, the sort of note that follows that triplet, that's where you play your par, which is your G chord, button number 3, finger number 3. And then again you play the G bass on the first note of the next triplet. And when you play the G that follows that triplet, this time it's a quaver, you play the par again. So you have, and that final note D doesn't have a bass with it, and everything's on the push. Now, bar number 2. Like I said earlier, this appears to be all quavers. It's written, we're going to play it. You can hear the difference straight away. You get a nice rumpty-tumpty feel to it, nice bouncy feel. Staying in position from where we are, you've got B, G, B, D, G, D, B, G. And obviously you need all 4 fingers on that. Now the way the basses work there, you've got the G bass, the on the first note B. When you get to the B the next time, that's the 3rd note of the bar, that's where your par is, your G chord. And then when you get to that top G note, where you finger it with a little finger, that's your again your bass note. And when you get down to the B again, that's your par again. So in other words, you've got 8 quavers, and you play the basses on all the odds. So notes 1, 3, 5 and 7. Let's piece that together from the beginning. That sounds rather nice, doesn't it? Now, you're still pushing on the next bar, and you notice I've almost run out of bellows here, so I may not have planned very well here. So I'm just going to pull my bellows out and cheat a little bit so I can show you this bar. This is bar number 3. We were in this area. We're going to move up 1. That means we're going to bring our right hand position up 1 button and actually over to the D row. All the notes in this bar, bar number 3, all have diamond heads. That means they're all on the D row. And we've got slight change there though, because we've got a pull note. So it's all push apart from the last note. So you can hear straight away it's the same feel as bar number 1 with that triplet, crotchet, triplet and then 2 quavers. Now the note is D. I mentioned that mine's a 4th button start. There's the proof. D note, 4th button down on the D row, pushing, finger 1. And the very last note is G, which is button 5, but on the pull, 2nd finger. Now, the bass there, it says above D with an asterisk. If you've not done one of my lessons before, you may not know that when I say D asterisk, I'm talking about the D's up the chin end, these 2. So button number 2, button number 1, on the outside row, pushing in, I use fingers 2 and 1 on that. That's D asterisk. And you fit those basses in just like you did on the first bar. Okay, so fairly obvious. Now, when you do that final pull note, make sure there's no bass behind that. Make sure you've played your chord and come off, so keep the bass very short, very staccato. So let's play that from the beginning. Pull the bellows out and give that a go. Okay, so we're beginning to piece it together. Now on bar number 4, we've got to watch the bass line a little bit, because we're going to start with the D asterisk basses, the D basses that are chin in. Then we're going to go. So we have D bass, D chord, button 2, button 1, but then we're going to play the D bass on the pull, button 4, little finger down here, and then we come all the way up the other end to play that D asterisk chord on the push. So there's one bass note on the pull there, everything else is on the push. And that's because of the notes we need on the right hand side. Let's look at that right hand side, then we'll piece both hands together. Now there's one note on the pull, and it's a note on the G row. You notice all the notes have diamond heads except for one, this C, okay, which is finger 2, and you can see it's got a normal head, it's on the G row. And all the notes on the push apart from that one. We'll put that with the bass now. Okay, and like I said before, though they appear to be, it's actually played in that nice bouncy feel. Now we're going to play bar number 5, which is the same as bar number 1. And bar number 6 on the next stave starts the same as bar number 2, but instead of a final run of 4 quavers, we have 2 very straightforward crotchets. This note G played on beats 3 and 4. So you'll count it 1, 2, 3, 4. Written, but played. You can hear the difference, can't you? The bass, very simple. Pa, on the G bass note G chord. So that gives you. You play the and the pa on the first and third quavers, and then when you play the final 2 crotchets, that goes with the second pa. Very, very straightforward. Again, I would always say go back and piece that lot together, so glue it together. I nearly ran out of bellows there, didn't I? But we've just about made it. Obviously, the slower you play, the more bellows you're going to use up. So if I was going to play that at the proper speed, I would have probably been all right. And that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Bar number 7 now. It's D asterisk on the first half of the bar. So chin end, D bass, D chord, and then for the first time in the tune we're going to play A bass and A chord. Same buttons as the D asterisk, but pulling out. So you have D and then A. Now on the first half of the bar, right hand side wise, you're going to play a cross row pattern, and then on the second half you're going to be on the row. So cross row means going backwards and forwards from one row to the other. We actually start on the D row, on the note F sharp, third finger. Notice all Fs are sharpened in this tune because of the key signature. If you look at the key signature, you'll see the sharp at the beginning, that's on that top line, which is the F, so this is an F sharp. It's finger number 3 on the push, and the little finger goes on the button below that. That's the note of A. Then you come over to the G row for the note G, finger 2, and then return to the D row for the F sharp. And that's all on the push. And the bass line goes as before on the first and the third notes. So very legato. Legato means smooth. There's no inning and outing, all on the push. But then we do use our bellows because we've changed to the A chord and we've got everything on the D row, so we're on the row, playing on the row, up and down the row if you like. And we have the same button that we just pressed for F sharp. We pull it to get the E, and then you come to the button above that, push to get the D, and then play the same button and pull to get the C sharp, then come back and get the E on the pull. So it's pull, push, pull, pull. So put that together. I'll just play the right hand to start with. And with the left hand. And then bar number 8, nice easy bar. So the bass line here, you're going to go pa, very straightforward. D bass, D chord, chin end. And the right hand, we've got 3 Ds on the D row, finger 2, push, 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 come over to the G row for the note B, finger 1, play the same button and pull out to get the C. And make sure that when you play that C, as you pull out, you've lifted off the bass, otherwise you get an unwanted bass chord in the wrong direction. Like that. Right, that's a good place to get up to. Let's play it up to there. So there we are. Like I said, lots and lots of notes on the push, so you really have to be very economical with your bellows as you're pushing in. Keep the whole thing very short, very staccato. Right, let's go to page 2 and bar number 9. Some of these tunes have an A part and a B part. Not so with this one. It's just a 16 bar pattern which you can play as many times as you like, of course. Bar number 9. It's a G chord, pa twice, and that very familiar triplet crotchet pattern. This time there's not 2 quavers at the end, it's all very, very straightforward, all one note, and it's all the note D, finger 2, on the G row, all on the push. On bar number 10 you're going to need to move up 1 position, so you come up this way. And watch out for those dagger symbols, there's 4 of them, which means to say that you can sound the note just by reversing the bellows direction. And just follow the bellows directions underneath the note. Now with the C chord, of course we can get the C bass and the C chord in both directions, on the pull and the push, and of course we do both in this bar. It's a little bit of an awkward bar this, okay, there's no cross rowing. We start with this note here, which is E. Now, from the previous bar, you were using finger 2 on this note, which is D. It's the same button, but you're going to need to move your position up, so you put your third finger up onto that button, but pull out gives you the E, and the button below that, still pulling, gives you F sharp. So you've got 2 pulls in a row, which is a little bit awkward. So obviously the bass note C that goes to that first E note is the C bass on the pull. Then on the right hand side you play the same button, you see it's finger 4 again. As I say, play the same button, you can just get this by pushing the bellows in. We'll just play it for the moment. And as you do so you're going to get C bass note on the push. And then again you play the same button or just use the bellows to sound the note. And pull out to get the F sharp note again. So you have like that. So you have a C bass note on the pull and a C chord on the push. So that's the first 4 quavers, and then you've got pull, push, pull, push. So it's a bit more straightforward. A couple of dagger notes there. So you have ED on one button and CB on another button. After you've been playing a while, you'll start to remember that you get E and D on the same button, C and B on the same button, G and A on the same button. So to sum up there, the bass line is going C bass on the pull, C chord on the push, and then C bass, C chord, both times pull. So the odd man out is obviously that push chord that coincides with the third note on the right hand. And obviously when you do that final push note, even though the left hand would work, make sure you have lifted off the bass, keep it nice and short. So let's play those two bars, bars 9 and 10. So yeah, it's a tricky bar, that bar 10 definitely is. Now, bar number 11, we have an A minor 7th chord. Let's show you this chord. It's a cross row chord. You can find this in your chord folder that I gave you. That you'll find that in your general folder. It says PDFs. Inside that PDFs folder you can find diagrams of all these kind of weird chords. A minor 7th is a C major chord with an A bass. It's a pull chord, so it's a diagonal shape. I tend to use finger 1 on the A bass, that's the note which is the second button down, outside row. C chord is third button down, inside row. Now generally we tend to play this chord as a block, in other words as the bass note and the chord together. Quite weirdly here we're going to actually separate it. We're going to play the A bass and then the C major chord separately. Not particularly ideal, but I started playing it, sort of jabbing it like that, but I didn't particularly like that, so I've gone for this separation. And incidentally, while I'm talking about this, you will find, you know, half a dozen Melodeon players will play this tune differently. If you look on the internet, you'll find loads of videos of people playing Captain Pugwash. Everyone's got their own idea about this. This instrument is quite limiting in some ways because, you know, you can't get every chord that you really want, and a bit later on you'll see that in the tune. This is just my take on the tune, and I hope you like what I've done. So the left hand here goes, so A bass then C chord twice for your pa. You can see the precise bass line written underneath. You can see capital letter A, which is A bass, small letter C, which is C chord, twice. The tune is played on the row, so there's obviously going to be quite a bit of inning and outing of bellows. In fact, it is pull, push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, push, which is the best kind of inning and outing because there's no sort of two pushes in a row or two pulls in a row, which can get a bit complicated. I tend not to use any dagger notes here. I tend to replay all the buttons, even though we've got, you know, the second, third and fourth notes, they're all on the same button. I tend to replay it, and I think it works better. So the notes of the right hand there, you've got C on the pull, finger 2, button below pushing gives you D, play the same button pull out gives you E, push again gives you the D, back to the button above, pull out, get to the C, same button pushed in gives you B, and then the button above on the pull gives you A, pushed in gives you the G. That's what you're looking for, put that with the left hand. Keep the basses short there, don't forget, so that you don't have any overhanging unwanted chords in the wrong direction. Now, bar number 12, more on the row playing. This time it's on the D row, so you'll find lots of inning and outing. Push, pull, push, pull, push, push, pull, push. So you've got two pushes in a row there. Watch out for that. The basses are all chin end, they're all D asterisks, until the last beat where you play the D chord knee end, which is this one. Okay, and the actual bass line is written underneath. So the bass line is, notice that final D chord there, which is button 3, outside row, finger 3. So you've got, I often call this the dance across the Ds. We often have to use our different D notes and chords to go with our right hand. So the right hand there for bar number 12, you play this button and push in, it's finger 2, get F sharp, pull out on the same button gives you G, button below push gives you A, return to the button above to get the G and the F sharp, pull push, button above that on the push gives you D, same button pulled out gives you E. Incidentally, that's the only place on the melody you can get that particular E, first line of the treble clef. And then button below, finger 2 on the push, ends up on the F sharp. So you have, watch out for those 2 pushes in a row. Again, reminder, keep the basses short. Now, our little pattern that we played earlier is played 4 times here, but notice the interesting thing there, the last time I played it, I changed rows and I played it on the D row. It starts on the G row in its normal place, so you have a triplet and a crotchet, a triplet and a crotchet, triplet and a crotchet, triplet and a crotchet. Okay, so 4 times, that gives you 3 times, and then the 4th time, bring your second finger over to the D row. Now the reason for the change of row there is because we need an A chord behind that. Now I spoke earlier of the limitations of this instrument. I mean, ideally here you'd have like a G to a G7 to a C to probably a C minor. We haven't got a C minor chord. So I do a G with a B bass, a C and an A in terms of chords. I'll show you how I get that. Well, we know how to do G bass and G chord. This is bar 13, I'm just talking about the left hand here. Now, G with the B bass, rather nice. This is halfway through bar 13 on the second triplet. You play the note B, which is button 2, inside row, finger 2. Just play 1 B bass, but then come back to the G chord. So you've got G bass, G chord, B bass, G chord. Then you play the C bass and the C chord on the push. And then you swing over to the outside row, top 2 buttons, pulling out to get the A bass and A chords. So the left hand for those 2 bars. Put that with the right hand. So you can see the tune is just 1 note, but the movement in the chords makes it interesting. I know they aren't exactly the right chords. You know, you get a nice effect from doing that, I think. Now you're going to need to move up 1 button, position-wise, to the right hand to start bar 15. So what we've got here on bar 15, we've got an F sharp on the pull, button 3 for me, might be button 2 for you. And to get the high G, we've got to play the button which is 5 below that. So it's bigger than our 4 button stretch, obviously. It's on the push little finger, like that. And then you play the same button, pull out, another pull on the button above, that gives you E. So those first 4 notes are F sharp, G, same button, pull out, gives you F sharp, still pulling on the button above gives you E. So predominantly pull, it's just 1 push note there. And that's with the D, bass and D chord at the knee end. Okay, so down here, finger 4, finger 3. So you play the bass note on the first of those quavers and the bass chord on the third of those quavers when you play the higher of the F sharps. Now you will carry on playing quavers. I say quavers, of course they're not quavers, they're dotty quavers, semiquavers. Remember what I said earlier? You played an E at the end of that first section of quavers, that was on the pull. Play the same button and push in gives you D. And then go to the button above, pull out gives you C. Same button push gives you B. Button above on the pull gives you A. Nice tidy pattern. and that is push, pull, second half there. So you've got pull, push, pull, push, pull. So, you know, one of those awkward bars where it's not evenly push, pull or pull, push, it's, you know, a couple of pulls in the middle. Notice the bass line changes from the knee end to the chin end, to the D asterisk. Okay, so watch out for that. Again, quite a tricky bar, and the very last bar is a nice easy bar, and it's all crotchets, and it's, you have G, B, G, D as you play, and the bass line is going to go pa, but no final pa, because you want that final D note on the right hand to be unaccompanied, because obviously that's the same as the very first note you played in the tune, and then you'll repeat from the thick line, thin line and dots from bar 1. Those last 2 bars, and you're back in again. So we're now going to play from bars 9 to 16.